We live in a world that's just, well, obsessed with the idea of rapid advancement, right?
Really?
We map the entire globe in real time. Our logistical networks are incredibly complex, and we sort of look back at everything before the Industrial Revolution as quaint, almost laughably primitive.
Yeah, charmingly simple.
We tell ourselves history is this slow, linear crawl that only just recently became a sprint.
And that narrative, the one where we're at the absolute peak of ingenuity.
Mhm.
Comforting, sure, but it kind of blinds us to just how brilliant earlier eras were.
Mhm.
It leads to that mistake of thinking sophistication has to mean miniaturization or electronics.
Exactly. Because when we actually deep dive into the sources for this week, what we find is that the ancient Greeks didn't just give us philosophy and drama, they actually designed these foundational tools. Things for logistics, time management, even automation.
Things we still use.
Right, things we still use, almost unchanged in principle, thousands of years later. They invented things that feel completely modern.
And when most people think Greeks, they usually jump straight to Athens, maybe Socrates, or their most famous social invention democracy.
Demos Kratos, power to the people.
Precisely. But the key period for these technologies we're diving into, it's really the Hellenistic age, roughly the 3rd century BC.
Yeah.
And this was a time where really pragmatic engineering, led by figures like, Archimedes, Ctesibius, Heron of Alexandria, it flourished right alongside all that philosophical thought.
So that's our mission today. Let's move past the abstract, the philosophy, and look at 5 specific, tangible bits of technology. Stuff that defines convenience and efficiency for us now, but were actually invented by that incredible group of innovators 2 millennia ago. Get ready to maybe rethink history a bit.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about, interesting historical footnotes here. We're talking about the absolute bedrock of standardization that made complex societies possible, and eventually, your modern life possible.
Okay, let's start with a tool of standardization that basically governs all physical travel and trade today, the odometer. Every car has one, measures distance. It's crucial for modern logistics, shipping, everything. So who gets the credit? Who invented the first device to automatically, reliably track distance traveled?
Okay, so the time frame is that late Hellenistic period again, around the 3rd century BC. There's actually a bit of a spirited debate over who exactly gets the credit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some sources point towards Archimedes, others credit Heron of Alexandria. But the function itself isn't debated. It was a mechanism, probably attached to a cart axle.
Right.
And after a certain number of wheel rotations, it would drop a pebble or a ball into a box. That indicated a standard unit of distance had passed, like a mile or whatever unit they used.
That's brilliant, just using simple gearing and mechanics. But what was the immediate impact? I mean, beyond just the cart driver knowing how far they'd gone.
Oh, the impact was huge. Economic and governmental, really. Before the odometer, measuring distance was, it was guesswork. Estimations, counting paces, that kind of thing.
Very imprecise.
Exactly. With the odometer, they could suddenly establish absolutely verifiable standardized distances between places, and this let them introduce precise milestones.
Ah, like the Roman milestones we hear.
Exactly. The Romans definitely adopted and expanded on it for their massive road network. It allowed for hyper-efficient planning.
Which fundamentally changes the whole economy, doesn't it? If distance is standardized, you can standardize travel times, shipping rates, tariffs. It builds predictability into the whole supply chain. That ability to standardize physical space is just immense.
It really is. It's the beginning of scalable, predictable logistics. It let governments budget for infrastructure accurately, knowing exactly how much road needed repair and where.
Okay, so if the odometer showed Greeks how to standardize distance across the Earth, the next big challenge was standardizing our movement through time. And making sure people actually showed up when they're supposed to. Which brings us to the alarm clock.
Yes.
That intrusive noise that rips us all out of sleep every morning. Surely that has to be a modern torment.
Well, I'm afraid the ability to be woken up by an annoying, intrusive noise is quite ancient. We credit Ctesibius, another brilliant 3rd century BC inventor, with creating the first automated alarm clock.
No way. How did he even do that? No springs, no batteries?
He took his existing work on water clocks, the clepsydras, and basically perfected them, then added a twist.
Okay, the clepsydra, that's the thing where water drips out at a steady rate.
Right. Water escapes at a known steady rate, usually marking time on some kind of dial. Ctesibius modified this design. He figured out that when the water level inside reached a specific predetermined point,
Uh-huh.
it could activate a siphon. That siphoned water would then fall onto a small paddle wheel, and that wheel was geared to trigger something else, like dropping pebbles onto a metal gong.
So 2,000 years ago, someone was being jolted awake by a sudden clanging racket of pebbles hitting metal.
Wow.
I feel strangely connected to Ctesibius' unfortunate customers now.
Ah, yeah. We often think this modern drive for efficiency for schedules is new, but clearly managing manpower, whether it was for military shifts or maybe astronomical observations or just getting people to the market on time, it was a timeless human concern.
It really raising that point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Technology often serves to control human behavior just as much as it solves a physical problem. The need to impose schedules on people, that's ancient.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving from logistics and time to, well, sheer convenience and daily hygiene. Let's talk about bathing, specifically the shower.
Right.
We tend to associate daily washing, especially with pressurized water, with, the last 150 years or so. Widespread indoor plumbing. The idea of smelly medieval peasants is strong.
It is, but the Greeks were way ahead of the curve on this one, too. And the evidence we have is both historical, like from writings and art, and archaeological.
What kind of evidence? What shows how sophisticated their bathing systems were?
Well, we have pictorial evidence. There's a famous scene on an ancient Greek vase from Athens, actually. It shows female athletes showering together after a workout.
Okay, so they had dedicated washing facilities.
Yes, and probably communal ones. But the really compelling evidence comes from archaeology. The discovery of an entire shower complex at the Greek city of Pergamum, which is in modern-day Turkey.
A whole complex, not just like a single spout.
No, a whole complex. It seems it was part of the larger gymnasium system there. These places featured a series of communal shower heads. Now, they weren't individually private cubicles like we have,
Right.
but they were fed by quite an elaborate system of lead pipes. These pipes carried water under pressure, likely from reservoirs or aqueducts.
Lead pipes, pressurized water. That sounds remarkably modern.
It does. The Greeks understood that communal fitness, like in a gymnasium, required communal, standardized cleanliness afterwards. You needed a reliable, efficient way for lots of people to rinse off. And a shower delivers that much faster and arguably more cleanly than everyone piling into a shared bath.
That cultural normalization of personal cleanliness, standardizing hygiene for a population, that's a massive social leap forward. We often overlook that when we talk about the Greeks.
It connects right back to that theme we keep seeing. Standardization. Standardization of infrastructure, standardization of time, and now standardization of hygiene.
Okay, you're convincing me. But let's talk about the vending machine. Seriously, this feels like the ultimate symbol of fast, standardized, automated transactions. The lifeline for stressed office workers needing that slow fix. There is just no way this can be ancient.
Prepare to be amazed again. Heron of Alexandria strikes again. He designed and built what is essentially the world's first vending machine.
Heron again. Okay, what was it vending? Not ancient Greek energy drinks.
No. The context is actually wonderful. It wasn't dispensing snacks. It was designed to dispense specific, measured amounts of holy water in a temple.
A holy water vending machine. Why automate that?
Well, think about it. It goes back to standardization again, and also eliminating potential, let's say, human error or maybe even corruption in the dispensing process.
Oh, okay. The priests needed to ensure that worshippers received the precise, appropriate measure of water for their offering or ritual. Automating it meant they didn't need someone constantly manning the station, and it prevented anyone from maybe skimming a little off the top or giving friends a bit extra. Automation provided impartiality.
I hadn't even considered the need for impartial transactions back then. Okay, how did this ingenious machine actually work? The mechanics must have been clever.
Oh, it was beautiful in its simplicity. Pure physics. A worshiper would insert a coin of the correct value and weight.
Right.
The coin would drop inside onto a small, carefully balanced pressure plate or a lever arm. The weight of that specific coin would momentarily tilt the lever down.
Okay.
That tilting action opened a valve connected to the holy water reservoir. Water would flow out of a spout, but only for a moment. As the lever tilted, the coin would eventually slide off the plate and drop down into the machine's collection box. Once the coin's weight was gone, the lever would naturally reset to its original position, closing the valve and stopping the flow of water. So the absence of the coin automatically resets it. That's brilliant, a complete mechanical feedback loop.
Precisely. It's an early, elegant example of that. And that basic mechanism, dispensing a standardized amount of product in exchange for a standardized unit of currency, is 2,000 years old. It is the direct ancestor of every single soda machine, gumball machine, whatever that you've ever used.
Just mind blown.
Okay, that brings us to our final invention. And this one feels truly, almost spookily futuristic. The automatic door. You know, when you walk into a supermarket or an office building today, and those doors just glide open magically. That feels like the absolute epitome of modern convenience, accessibility, maybe even a bit of power display.
Are we back with Heron of Alexandria for this one? He seems to be the star.
He is indeed the definite inventor here. His schematics clearly describe automatic doors designed for a temple, but interestingly, they weren't initially conceived purely for convenience, it seems.
Why then?
The descriptions suggest they were needed, partly because the temple doors were too large and heavy for humans to open easily. So maybe a logistical issue, or perhaps just a desire for a really grand, impressive display. Maybe both.
Okay, huge, heavy doors. If people couldn't move them easily by hand, how on earth did he power them? This is where the tech gets really fascinating, right?
This is where we see, essentially, rudimentary engine power. Heron harnessed steam.
Steam power in ancient Greece.
Yes, hidden beneath the floor of the temple, fires were lit on an altar. The heat from those fires wasn't just for show, it traveled through pipes into a sealed bronze vessel hidden underground, a vessel containing water. This generated high-pressure steam.
Okay, so he's building up pressure like a boiler. How did that steam energy translate into the rotation motion needed to actually move massive doors?
The steam pressure was carefully channeled through tubing and directed into pistons or cylinders, much like a basic steam engine. This pressure created leverage. That leverage could then be applied to a clever system of ropes, turning drums, and counterweights, all hidden beneath the temple floor.
Wow. And by directing the steam pressure to one side of the mechanism or the other, probably by controlling which fire on the altar was lit, or how intensely Heron could either force the heavy doors to swing open away from the center, or allow the counterweights to slowly pull them closed again.
That is immense mechanical sophistication for the time. He essentially created a kind of self-regulating, remotely activated engine system.
Absolutely. And imagine the result. Worshippers and priests would witness these colossal, heavy doors swinging open, apparently without any human effort, seemingly activated just by the lighting of the holy fire on the altar.
It makes the temple seem alive, powerful.
Exactly. The mechanism was the magic. It presented divine intervention itself through engineering. So if we sort of pull back and connect all 5 of these innovations, the odometer, the alarm clock, the shower system, the vending machine, and these incredible automatic doors, what's the bigger picture? A crucial theme really starts to emerge, I think.
The Hellenistic Greeks, especially figures like Heron, weren't just dabbling in isolated, clever gadgets. They were actively, systemically focused on control and standardization across almost all facets of life.
Right. They weren't just sitting around arguing philosophy in the abstract, though they did that too. They were engineering these incredibly practical, often complex tools that fundamentally changed efficiency, helped control logistics, manage time, standardize interactions, even influence religious beliefs and perceptions of power.
Exactly. The focus wasn't just on having a slightly better tool for one task. It was about creating predictable systems that could scale up.
That makes sense.
Think about it. The ability to standardize distance made trade verifiable and networks plannable. Standardizing time made manpower manageable and schedules possible. Standardizing transactions made vending machines impartial and reliable. And standardizing access through automation like the doors created this illusion of effortless power or divine will.
And the core engineering principles they used, levers, gears, weights, water pressure, even basic steam pressure, those ideas still underpin so much of our automated world today, even if the materials and power sources are vastly different.
Precisely.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Well, it means history isn't just a simple straight line going ever upwards. True sophistication, real ingenuity, often lies not just in complex electronics, but in the brilliant application of core physical principles. And that can happen in any era. The gap between an ancient steam-powered temple door and a modern motion sensor sliding door is obviously vast in terms of material science and electronics. But that underlying drive, the desire for automation, for effortless access, for maybe a little bit of magic, That's exactly the same.
The ancient Greeks didn't just give us the tools to think about the world, like philosophy. They gave us some of the fundamental tools to actually engineer the world of convenience and control we live in now.
Okay, here's a final provocative thought for you to carry into your day. Think about Heron of Alexandria's automatic doors and his holy water vending machine. Both use what was, for their time, cutting-edge mechanical engineering, and both serve to remove direct human effort and create an experience of seamless, almost unquestioned power, whether that was framed as divine intervention or just simple convenience. So what does it tell us about human nature, perhaps? That even our most sophisticated technology, thousands of years apart, is still so often designed to blur that line. The line between science, convenience, and, well, magic. Making sure our transactions and our access points feel completely effortless, almost mystical. Something for you to maybe ponder the next time you drop $1 into a vending machine or step silently through an automatic door.